What's good, man? It's OG Drip. This channel where we talk about the spiritual truth and how to utilize energy on a day-to-day basis, man. And check this out, man. We all done read some type of book or seen some type of movie where, it's like a human turning into an animal and stuff like that, right? So when we getting deep about understanding lore, animalistic natures and junk like that, it get even deeper when you think about, the main casting thing, like, the werewolf. It had a whole lore behind it, basically saying like at full moon, the night of, the transformation of a werewolf come into play and stuff like that. But boom, we got to understand, you got animal natures and some people consider them as beastly natures. You get what I'm saying? So when you understanding the beast, you understanding the transformation at the full moon, you understand why something is transforming to this beast and understanding the deepness of the words, even transformation. So when they're playing out in the 8th house type of stuff, this is where the dark at. This is also where Pluto rules. So when we think about transformation and we think about magic and we think about, death and all of these type of things here, this is where the house exists. So if you're not into astrology, you're just saying it's the 8th house. So when you get into that, you understanding like, oh, okay, it's a transformation happening. Now, what is going on in this transformation? Oh, due to the fulfillment or the lack of being fulfilled. So if someone don't know how to control themselves due to their emotions, they get into their beastly natures. So the more you learn how to control yourself, which you see on a lot of movies, even when the wolf is good, they make it like the wolf is have to learn how to contain themselves and learn their powers or their super natural capabilities, which is coming right back to the 8th house again when we talk about magic and stuff. So boom, when we get down to deep things like this, now we could get the real concept of, why these things even exist in the first place. So a lot of times we see things of ideology, and this is when they try to make an ideal out of something. So it don't be an actual existence, but at the same time, it do not be a lie. So you'll see people turning into something, or you'll see a mermaid, then you got to understand the sea creatures, then you got to understand what sea creatures mean, then when you understand your lore natures and your lower emotions and stuff like that, now you can see what happens. Okay, this is what a sea monster is. Okay, this is what a hermit crab is. Okay, this is what a shark is. Okay, so now when you're hearing these things of these so-called supernatural things, now you understand it's a supernatural capability within yourself that is like, okay, it's a little bit above natural, a little bit above normal. So anytime it's like that, it's abnormal. So when you're trying to find an adjustment behind it, it's like learning how to control it. So a lot of times we'll see people that, get into their beastly natures and start lacking things, and maybe on a full moon at all times they end up crashing out. You get what I'm saying? They end up letting the beast take over. So whatever they was fighting with inside themselves further as emotion, they just couldn't help it. You know what I'm saying? They just couldn't help but let their deep desires get out, or the things that they wanted to be fulfilled and obligated. So at the same time, if they're not able to get in position to get it, they'll sometimes get into emotion and making them like what we call today as a crash out. But at the same time, this is his way of allegory of how they used to break it down back then. So when we get in the understanding of where these things come from, even all the way down to Frankenstein with bringing, someone back from the dead, and understanding how the mind works, and understanding, the 3 concepts of birth, life, and death, we can start understanding the movies more. So we can see how, the birth realm is the spiritual realm, the life realm is the mental realm, and the death realm is the realm that we call life, which is the physical realm. You get what I'm saying? So at the same time, we can see how it plays out. So when things come into like understanding, even when they say, hey, the Holy Trinity, or you have to get a silver cross, or you have to get this special bullet, now we can even get into the concept of what even these things mean, what type of material had to be used. So when you understand what material means, so now you can put together even these movies yourself, and you can start getting a deeper understanding. Even when you watch these garbage junks, which was really led to, destroy us, which lead us to something being physical, make us a false witness of things, start having us be delusional, start having us seeing things that we never would have seen if it was never for this movie, or it never was for this book that we read. So it started getting into your mind in that type of way. So at the same time, you got to remember, it pays whatever you're paying attention to. This is where we be talking about, be careful with the 6th dimension of how you pick your fruit, because you don't want to pick fruit that is not necessarily in your desire. So if you're not trying to be a killer, maybe you don't need to watch a whole bunch of videos of people killing each other all day. You get what I'm saying? So you got to start thinking about these things, because even if you don't want to be this, by you feeding this to your mind, you might grow a thing where you feel like in emotion world it's okay, which is the 5th dimension when it brings down from the top. So we already know it comes from the top all the way to the bottom. So if you're looking at the spiritual realm, this is why some people associate heaven with being up. So anytime we start looking up at things, we can start seeing what's in the light, or when it's in the dark, what is being fulfilled. You get what I'm saying? So we see the moon have its own cycles throughout the days, or throughout every other day. You get what I'm saying? So when we get into these type of things, this help us be able to see like, Now we understand what the Masons and Jews trying to draw out, but it's not necessarily the way that thing's supposed to be used. But this is the way that's being used against us. So if you understand the weapons that's being used, you understand all the things that are being used, of course no weapon's going to prosper. You know the weapon that it is. You get what I'm saying? It's like you being armed for something already. So this is the way that you actually supposed to have an inner security, but it teach you by being a different way of being insecure. You get what I'm saying? So instead of that, instead of having that, you'll have the emotions trying to take guard. So you'll see it like a shielding. So not understand how to fight fire with fire when it's needed. So when you hear these type of things, you know naturally, just with the experience of what you done been through, that is bullshit. So not only that, back to what I was saying with the Holy Trinity and all this type of stuff there, is you will see this come up in multiple times where it's like in things in threes as well. So not only do you have these movies where they're breaking down like, okay, someone is turning into a werewolf, but you also have the moments of someone's turning and not turning. You get what I'm saying? Because of something in them wasn't beastly enough, or they didn't have the natural beast in them to be a wolf. You get what I'm saying? So you got to think about it like that. And then when you think about it like that, listen to it. This is a wolf eat wolf world. So if you look at it like dog eat dog, the specific dog would be a wolf. So you're looking at it like, nah, not just a regular dog. We're looking at it like something that got power that can protect itself like it's in the wilderness at all times. So when we're looking at it like that, and it's multiple dogs, man, we're not finna go down a whole list of a bunch of different name things that's just born in different parts, so they gave it a different name. We're not doing that. We're not getting lost into, you know, naming shit and stuff like that. So boom, when we get back into that, now we can see what it's actually pointing at. And as people, we can start getting into understanding ourselves, which is the real psychology. So we understand our psychic ability to knowing how to use it. No, not getting psyched out into the natures of how they want to logically put things. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we got to understand, just because they have a name to it, that doesn't mean that they have the full information on it. Not only that, just because it's named something that you might know of doesn't mean that's what it means. So you got to understand the codes in between that's right there in your face. So it's not a lie necessarily, and that's why they don't have to cover stuff up and a lot of stuff like that in a way. If it was covered up, people wouldn't even be finding it. It don't make sense. So at the end of the day, when they want something covered, yeah, all right. That's why we need to be on guard with each other and watch the things that we do. You feel what I'm saying? So anyway, going into it is, you just think like this. You got the wolf jump, you got the vampire jump. I done broke down the vampire one a long time ago, because I seen somebody get on TikTok and they talking about some energy vampire, and they're making it like it's just like a physical person. No, it's actually a mindset. Now that person could probably be activating that mind too much, you know what I'm saying, and always stuck in that mind, you know what I'm saying, fixed in that emotion, but that ain't where we're going at with it. You feel what I'm saying? So that might be who they transform into, because when you think of fixed emotion, just think of fixed water, aka Scorpio. So when you're looking at that, you already understand Scorpio is about what? Transforming. You might meet one of them and they might be nice and they might just turn into a crazy person. So if you're not going to understand the werewolf thing, at least you can understand with dealing with reality of how someone might be. But at the same time, a lot of people will transform to you. That doesn't mean nothing, because you know why? We all have a Pluto alignment. So when we thinking about where is Pluto at, you got to think about that, you know, boom. And then when you start thinking, you're like, oh shit, okay. And then Mars could come behind it. You're like, okay. Now see, your emotion might transform you to go to war for something. So when we start thinking about the personal person that's in the wolf, you know, that's trying to be the wolf, it has to be naturally in them in order to want to be that beast, in order to want to outcome that nature of being more than what they are. So at the end of the day, that's that self-inspiration, self-motivation. That sounds like what? The Aries house, which is the other side of the Mars energy. So if we want to break down how they come up with these movies and which ones they let flop, trust me, y'all, it's all through astrology. Just if you don't know it, you're not going to know what's actually going on. And the thing is, it's what you've been taught. If you never went outside of it, you can't expect different. Like I tell my kids, if you did the same amount of practices as somebody that's already better than you, you can't expect yourself to naturally get better than them at whatever it is. You got to expect yourself to do a little bit more practices, probably different type of practices, in order to enhance you in different abilities. So what might work for you might not work for them. So you might be a person that's fast, but due to you having a slow first 4 steps, you can't be a running back. So now you work on it. You get what I'm saying? Period. And we're not going to go into sports, but I don't want people thinking they should put their kids into that or force them. No, I'm just saying the things, like I said, right now I got a team to be more relatable to what the average person is listening to, if it is a person that's not, you know, farm with what I be talking about on my channel. But anyways, when it get deep, like you start really understanding, you be like, damn, so it's not a lie technically, it's right there in front of us, but the way that it's presented to you due to the light, aka the light, the image that you had, the idea, the way that you seen it, it wasn't what it appeared to be. So sometimes you get a falsified light. And a lot of times this is what people go through too. Once they enter something so hard, they might die and think they seen that, or go through a position in life and think they seen that. You know what I'm saying? But like, oh, I seen Jesus because it's certain face. And that certain face, they seen it all the time, or it ain't something they never seen because it's 10 faces they mixing together. You get what I'm saying? Stuff like that, because they done seen so many different pictures of it. Just saying, that's one example. So when we going into these things of how deep the mind go and how it collect information and how it like retain it and stuff like that, it started getting deep, because you start looking at the worlds for what they is, and you start be like, so these realms is actually the masculine ones, even though it's still androgynous on every three. You know what I'm saying? It's androgynous with the third, sixth, and ninth. When you start to look at it from that perspective, and you just look at the first as being masculine and second as being feminine. So then it started going to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again. So next thing you know, when you got the whole 9 and you breaking it down to 3 different threes, now you see how they came up with things like mathematics with like multiplication and stuff like this. So we start seeing how, okay, this is the reason why they created the number system. Okay, this is the reason why they created this behind it. So you start seeing all these things actually tie together. It's not just a whole bunch of hokey pokey or just a whole bunch of shit that they just want to present to you. No, it's actually a hidden meaning behind this shit that's not actually so hidden. So at the end of the day, you know how it is with titles and stuff. So I don't know what I end up titling. I probably titled it 4 different titles or whatever, but it's just the point of how things work. So when we started to understand, like, damn, we get it now. So we got to be careful, especially if we lack fulfillment in things. We got to go try to use our son to go get it, because now our mother, therefore our wife, inside of ourselves, aka the husband, is going out, but he's not working in order to be able to bring home money for a meal. So this is what they did and brought it to the physical realm. So they knew how it was working in the mental, and they brought it to the physical. So this is the stuff that I be trying to break down, because what they're doing is bringing things from the mental realm and making you actually do it. So when they were talking about a mental slave, someone being stuck or fixed into a position, being, you know, narcissistic about shit, now they brought it to the physical world where they can make people out of narcs based off of the same information they gave them, to the point that they'll argue with them about where they came from, about what they is. And they'll be like, yo, you so wrong. That ain't how this land was created. But hey, you guys tell me. So that's the reason why we got all these, you know, Israelites and all these type of different people or different sources of black religion and stuff, and we all trying to find something. Now, some of it all do got truth in it, but at the same time, we got to start realizing like what's being you know, dangled over our face. And then when you start looking at the history that they did leave behind, shoot, you ain't got to really ask too much questions to know, like, sound like somebody got bullied out of the land. Sound like y'all did a whole bunch of shit that wasn't fun to God. Like, y'all just wanted to do this out of y'all own self-desires. So we start getting how they get, but now we could use it in a better way than how they did it. You get what I'm saying? That's not how it's supposed to be done. So at the same time, yeah, we can still have aggressive sports, but they ain't got to be to the point where someone dying. You get what I'm saying? They ain't got to be to the, like, it's a lot, bro. So when it comes down to our emotions, even if we learn how to shift it to a smaller version of whatever, you be like, you know what? Me being super mad, this is what I do. You know what I'm type of junk, like, so we changing our transformation. So when you starting to act on you trying to fulfill your obligations based off your actions, now the husband that's trying to bring home this load to this wife, it could be successful. It's just like a bird. We trying to find a nest, shit like that. Like some small stuff be like that in life. Not all birds the same, y'all. We already know they done created different species and all this type of stuff, and everything started getting mixed and matched to the point that people don't even know what is what. So we here to help you see through the right colors, aka the right chakras, so you can see the right lens, the right lights, the right water that we supposed to be able to see. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all water, but it depends on how we looking at it. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we might see it from a lower nature and stuff, and it's more rooted to the, like, you know, red. You know what I'm saying? A darker color. So sometimes we see things through our solar plexus, and you'll see it being more towards the yellow and junk like that. So it's stuff like that where when you deep and understand it, now you can understand, like, okay, when they was talking about Buddhism, this probably was actually marking at this. Maybe they couldn't explain it as subjective because due to, you know, language and them taking certain oaths thinking that this is what they're supposed to follow, this is where they got lost at. So even when you understand the people that had the right, at least starting point or something like that, or had this point of life where they looked like it was headed in the right direction, you could get where they get it from. You know what I'm saying? Especially like when the Buddha monks like try to obtain having a peace in mind. This is part of what I'm talking about. So when we actually understand the battle that we having within ourselves before we even present ourselves to the world, now we can understand how the battle is supposed to be won. So then when we get that understanding, we don't have to be shameful for what we present. You know what I'm saying? Either. So like when now being presented, it's like, okay, Yeah, I'm a little mad, but it ain't big mad. You know what I mean? This is my big mad. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't get mad like that no more. So it started leaving. Like, you have a different transformation. So, you know, a lot of times, like, you can see somebody, they'll be doing something in life, and something hit them, and it changed their whole way about life, changed the whole way they was going about stuff. Maybe they was lazy and junk, and they got tired of people kicking them out and junk like that, and they finally had to get up and get off their ass and get a job or something. But regardless, they had to take some type of form of action instead of just being stuck in their emotions. So this is what they be trying to teach us about, not getting drowned in our emotions, not getting ate by a lobster.